This is CBC Here and Now.
It's frustrating because, we plow it, we salt it, and it snows all over and it's blowing off the roof and everything else, so gotta go clean it again, salt it again, and just chasing your tail.
Well, it was supposed to be the first day back to school after the Christmas break. Instead, the first storm of the new year walloped eastern Newfoundland.
When you see a dovekie, it needs help. They can't get off land, they can't get into the air, they need to get back to the ocean.
A plea from the local wildlife rescue group to help stranded seabirds. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We begin with news from the courts. A 36-year-old man facing charges connected to a shooting in Corner Brook will remain behind bars tonight. Scott King was denied bail in a Corner Brook courtroom today. King was arrested on multiple firearm and assault charges following an incident in Curling on December 29th. Police learned a man unlawfully entered a home and used a firearm. One man was taken to hospital for injuries consistent with a gunshot wound, but not life-threatening. King is scheduled to be back in court on January 13th. Well, the Avalon was hit with another big snowfall overnight and into this morning, delaying the first day back to school for many students and closing some workplaces. The CBC's Laura Howells has more on the snowy winter so far.
Kids were supposed to be back in class today after their Christmas break, but when stormy weather closed schools, they had other plans.
I thought tomorrow was going to be school day, but it was not, so I want to go sledding.
Why do you like sledding so much?
Because you get to sled in the snow and go really fast.
How long do you think you'll be sledding today?
A lot. I'll make their beach for 2 hours.
Great news for kids across the Avalon and the eastern portion of the island. Maybe less exciting for the parents.
I was really hoping for them to go back to school today just for routine aspects of stuff. But you know what? Today you got to kind of make the memories with your kids and seize the day. So here we are.
Winter storm warnings had ended by Monday afternoon, but not without leaving a fair bit of snow on the ground. At least 20 centimeters in St. John's and 38 centimeters reported in Paradise. That means long hours for plow operators like Sean Roach.
Actually, I started yesterday, 10:30 last night I started it, and I've been going ever since.
You haven't slept?
No sleep. It's frustrating because, we plow it, we salt it, and it snows all over and it's blowing off the roof and everything else, so gotta go clean it again, salt it again, and just chasing your tail.
This is the latest in a series of storms this winter, and there were above normal amounts of snow last month. In St. John's, there's been more than 135 centimeters of snowfall so far since November. So lots of opportunities to perfect the art of sliding down a hill.
I go really fast. I go a million miles.
Yeah. What does it feel like when you're going so fast?
I kind of get a little bit of snow in my face. It means I want to go fast because I like fast.
Yeah, certainly a great day for sledding, even if adults aren't quite as excited about yet another day of shoveling. Laura Howells, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, turning now to a story making international headlines, Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro appeared in a New York courtroom on Monday where the deposed leader pleaded not guilty to drug trafficking and other charges. He insisted he's innocent and described himself as a decent man. American special forces took him and his wife from their home in Caracas on Saturday. The UN and many countries say the operation was a violation of international law and national sovereignty, but U.S. President Donald Trump says the U.S. will run Venezuela until a safe transition of power can take place. Trump says American oil companies would, quote, start making money for the South American country. But here in this province, local financial advisor and market watcher Larry Short says even if the U.S. does move into that market, it could take years before we see impacts on global demand and oil prices.
It's not a turn a tap and start siphoning it now. I think they're producing 900,000 barrels-ish offhand, but it's not anything of major significance. Of course, the more oil that's on the market, the lower the overall price, depending on the quality, depending on Hibernian oil versus Hebron versus other finds that may be on the go 10, 15 years hence.
So you think that the folks at Confederation Building aren't too worried right now?
They shouldn't. I don't think there's anything there to except smile and nod and say this is another and the continuing story of a lack of follow-through.
Well, Memorial University's campus radio station celebrated a milestone anniversary last month, 50 years broadcasting on radio airwaves in St. John's. But now the station says finances are tight, and they're now looking to change focus and modernize. The CBC's Abby Cole has that story.
CHMR has been on radio airwaves for 50 years, and many of this province's journalists have started right here.
I had heard about CHMR before I went to MUN, so I knew it was somewhat popular. It's nice to be able to continue helping add to the, not just being a part of something that's been at MUN for so long.
Andrew Connors is a MUN student who produces the CHMR show Sports on the Rock.
It focuses on local sports, and I cover, the Newfoundland Regiment hockey team, curling.
But the way we consume media is changing, which has had drastic impacts on the station. So he says he might be one of the few students actually interested in radio.
Most people when they get in the car, they don't listen to the radio anymore. They listen to streaming services.
But CHMR is working to adapt to broadcast media's changing tides.
The local side of things is really important to us because we live in this era where, increasingly radio and other forms of media, they're all being homogenized. We're seeing AI taking over the airwaves, whether it's television, radio, the internet.
Rollman says the station is turning to more podcast and video productions.
So really encouraging folks to explore, what does it mean to produce local community media?
The university's Students' Union is its main funding source, and in a statement to CBC, they said the changing media landscape has put pressure on the station, causing financial and operational challenges, including rising costs, aging infrastructure, and a steadily changing audience.
We want to be able to kind of diversify where our funding comes from, and so we've been turning increasingly to our community to hopefully contribute funds and help us keep doing what we do.
Hot off the heels of its 50th anniversary, Rollman hopes that CHMR will be able to make it to year 75. Abby Cole, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, wildlife experts often advise the public to keep their distance from wild animals, saying human interaction can be harmful. But one local rescue group is now calling for human intervention in what it calls a seabird crisis. The CBC's Layla Baudouin reports.
Wildlife rescuer Karen Goss says their phone has been ringing off the hook with sightings of dovekies who are in trouble.
They will die. There's no chance they can get back to the ocean without our help.
It's not unusual for the tiny seabirds to get lost on land, but Goss says this winter has been stormier. High winds are forcing thousands of the seafaring birds inland, where they cannot leave because these birds can only take flight on water.
It's just because of the back-to-back storms that we're having, these gale force winds that are blowing them inland, and they're exhausted. When you see a dovekey, it needs help. They can't get off land, they can't get into the air, they need to get back to the ocean.
Stranded birds confuse roadways with ice leads, openings in the ocean where they thrive. But in a leap of faith, they're met with chaos.
They're seeing this black crack in the ice is what they believe. So when they come down and they're met with pavement and cars and traffic, they just don't stand a chance.
That's exactly where this Nick's family found and rescued a dovekey.
Yes, we did.
Like other people in the province, they've been bringing the lost birds back to the water.
So we found the bird on the driveway.
6-year-old Brooke Hayden and her family weren't going to let this little seabird die. After calling wildlife, they left their home in Grand Falls and headed for the ocean with Oreo.
It was black and white, so I named it Oreo. You should put them back to the ocean and let them fly. And you should bring them back to the wildlife before it's too late.
These are still living, feeling creatures, and they suffer. And to have people stopping and going out of their way to bring these guys to the ocean or to us, I think it's wonderful. I think it says a lot about humanity.
These cute little seabirds are tough. This is their natural environment, but experts agree changes under climate change, including stronger winds, takes them away from here and is one of the primary threats to the tiny bird. Leila Baudouin, CBC News, Torbay.
Well, 2 entrepreneurs and a doctor from this province have been appointed to the Order of Canada. The CBC's Arlette Lazarenko has the details.
Governor General Mary Simon has announced 80 new appointments to the Order of Canada. The recognition is for people who have made great contributions to the country, and 3 people from Newfoundland and Labrador are on the list. Mark Dobbin, Brendan Paddock, and Proton Raman. Mark Dobbin is from Portugal Cove, St. Phillips. He's a businessman and the founder and president of Killick Capital, an investment management company. A lot of the company's investments go to the province's tech sector. Brendan Paddock is also an entrepreneur. He founded Columbus Communications, a telecommunications company that provided services to 42 countries in the Caribbean, Central and South America before it was sold to Liberty Global in 2016. Paddock is also the founder of the Dollar a Day Foundation, a nonprofit that supports mental health and addiction programs across Canada. And finally, Proton Raman is a genomics expert and professor at Memorial University. He was a familiar face during the COVID-19 briefings. Raman is known for his work in arthritis care and creating a geology database of the province to trace genetic diseases across generations. Arlette Lazarenko, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, a clock in the province's Supreme Court has been ticking away for more than 100 years. And could it go for 100 more? Elizabeth Whitten has that story.
For more than a century, this clock has been keeping time in the Supreme Court of Newfoundland and Labrador. And like clockwork, once a week, someone, like Deputy Sheriff Chris Rose, has to come up here, fix the clock's hands, pop off the clock's back panel, and get the pendulum going again.
You can hear that in the courtroom as well when the matter is happening, yeah.
The clock's face bears 3 lines. Joseph Roper, St. John's, 1903. Roper was a jeweler, watchmaker, and scientific instrument maker born in the late 19th century in St. John's. A notice in a city newspaper from 1893 boasts he sold American clocks, suitable for houses, offices, and churches, as well as ladies' watches, sextants, quadrants, patent logs, telescopes, and opera glasses. But a clock of this vintage needs some extra care. That's where Chris Hamelman comes in. He owns Hamelman's Jewelry in downtown St. John's and was the last clockmaker to service the courthouse clock.
It needed bushings, cleaning, basically a rebuild of the mechanism.
He also noticed the extreme wear that comes from frequent use, which can happen to the inner workings of many similar style clocks.
This is actually a miniaturized bike chain, if you will, that wraps around it, much like the one in the courthouse. Here's your power source down here in the barrel with a large spring in it. Goes up through the system right through here to the point where it gets to the escape wheel, the power going through it, and moves the pendulum.
While Roper's name is on the clock, Hamelman says that doesn't necessarily mean Roper made it. It was common at the time to import clocks and the shop to label it. Still, Hamelman says this is a standout clock and one of his favorites he's ever worked on.
It was well made. You know, it's something that it's going to last a long time.
Could it last another 100 years, though?
Cross your fingers.
Hamelman says the clock's longevity has a few factors in its favor. Whoever made it did a good job, using quality metals that don't wear out quickly. One factor working against this clock, the humidity in the courtroom. Elizabeth Whitten, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, we certainly got a lot of snow through the overnight and into the first part of today. Downtown St. John's picked up about 23 centimeters of snow. The airport a little less than that, and even less in Gander as you head further west. Now, the highest totals were in the Paradise area, at least from what I'm seeing, about 38 centimeters of snow falling. So incredible amount of snow. We've got that. In behind that, we've got some much colder air, some more flurries through the day tomorrow thanks to that colder air. And then we do have another system by the time we get into Thursday. This one looks a little warmer and likely going to bring some rain. I'll get into all of that a little later.
The U.S. President Donald Trump has big plans to take control of Venezuela's vast oil reserves, saying U.S. oil companies will spend billions of dollars to revitalize oil infrastructure to get the country's 300 million barrels out of the ground.
We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly.
Now, considering this province's fiscal health is directly linked to the global price of oil, what impact could that potential increase in production have here at home? Financial advisor and market watcher Larry Short has been digging into this, and he joins me now. So the idea of U.S. oil companies swooping in to bolster the industry is not quite as simple as it sounds. What are some of the hurdles to Trump's plan, do you think?
Well, in short, it's pure nonsense. The U.S. oil companies need to spend somewhere in the order of about $500 billion and take about 10 to 15 years, conservatively, in order to get about 3 million barrels a day of oil out of that ground. Whereas whether they can do it profitably is a magic question. It is not a case of, the oil that was in Iraq, for example, that pretty easy to get it out of the ground and ship it, had facilities to be able to, once you got it to water, to bring it to various refineries. This is completely different. The U.S. oil companies have invested in Canadian oil, which is a direct competitor to a large degree to the Venezuelan oil, and for them to go now and spend money to increase the supply of something that they're already producing and producing profitably is shooting themselves in the foot. It just doesn't make any sense for them to do it. And it, as seems to be typical with the Trump administration, I don't think anybody in the oil companies were actually consulted to ask, did they want to do this?
Venezuelan oil is heavy oil, the same as Alberta oil. Hebron,
yes,
here in this province, also produces pretty heavy oil.
Yeah.
If things do happen and the oil companies do end up going into Venezuela and start producing this oil, what impact could that competition have on Canada and oil production in this province?
So a couple of things. One is that just because an oil is a heavy oil, it's not exactly the same. So each batch of oil per se, or each area of oil, requires a refinery to be matched to it, so in order to maximize the profits. Kind of piece one. Piece two is the thought was, that maybe the Venezuelan oil could feed the refineries along the southern coast, Texas, Mississippi, etc. But a lot of the Canadian oil, out of Alberta in particular, goes into the central part of the U.S. and the refineries in there. So you'd have to reverse pipelines in order to get that oil up north. So again, another infrastructure problem. With respect to Newfoundland and Labrador, the fact is that one big advantage that we have over everybody else is once that oil gets on water, once it gets into a tanker, it gets shipped anywhere in the world. And the demand for that oil is picking up around the world, or is stable around the world, so that there's other sources and other competitors that can buy it.
And I mentioned off the top about this province's fiscal health being linked very much to the price of oil.
Yes.
And if Venezuela does start producing more oil, that will increase the global supply of oil, and typically that means lower oil prices. If that were to happen,
yes,
what could that mean for this province's finances?
Well, first of all, it's going to be 10 to 15 years before we see any Venezuelan oil. It's not a turn a tap and start siphoning it now. I think they're producing 900,000 barrels-ish offhand, but it's not anything of major significance. Of course, the more oil that's on the market, the lower the overall price, depending on the quality, depending on Hibernia oil versus Hebron versus other finds that may be on the go 10, 15 years hence.
So you think that the folks at Confederation Building aren't too worried right now?
They shouldn't. I don't think there's anything there to except smile and nod and say this is another in the continuing story of a lack of follow-through. And again, just don't be aware, the oil companies do not want to offend Mr. Trump, so there will be lots of again, platitudes and discussions and saying they're interested, but actual follow-through with serious money going in there, not likely.
Well, it's an incredible situation. Larry Short, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your insights with us.
My pleasure.
Ashley, my goodness, waking up this morning to see all of that snow, a lot of aching backs this evening, no doubt.
Oh, there absolutely is. The good news is the snow is fluffy, so that's nice, a little nicer with the shovels for sure. The reason for that snow was this area of low pressure that is now moved offshore and has taken the snow with it. But in behind it, there is some very cold air, especially up across parts of Labrador, that cold air filtering south now. The cooler air, those temperatures around minus single digits, which is why we saw that fluffy snow. Those temperatures will continue to drop as we head through the night tonight. Taking a look at where we are now, -5 in St. John's. You factor in that wind chill, feels more like -13. Twillingate -7, but -16 with that wind chill. And then up across Labrador, even into the minus teens and 20s with wind chills into the minus 20s and 30s. And this is very much where you are going to stay as we head through the night tonight. Taking a look at what's going on weather-wise, cloudy skies for the most part. We did see a little bit of sunshine once that area of low pressure departed, but we are seeing some flurries now for parts of that are showing up on radar. I'm sure there are a few through central as well, but West Coast seeing those onshore flurries, and we will continue to see those onshore flurries as we head through the night tonight and even into the day tomorrow, because this cold air is not in a hurry to get out of here, at least not through tonight and not through the day tomorrow. So taking a look at the future tracker, you can see those flurries showing up very nicely on the West Coast, and then a few flurries still possible for the Avalon as well. We'll eventually see some clearing skies through the night tonight, but southern areas of the island, particularly the Burin Peninsula, potentially the southern portion of the Avalon, looking at some squalls or onshore flurries as we head through the night tonight as well. As far as the temperatures go, we will sit into the minus teens for coastal areas of Labrador, the rest of Labrador into the minus 20s, and fairly quiet weather for you. Just a few flurries in the west and then across the island. Chilly tonight, minus double digits, anywhere from about minus 10 to minus 15. Now, the Burin Peninsula, maybe southern areas of the island, a little milder into the minus single digits, but it will be chilly. So if you have any plans tonight and you're heading outside, you know it's already cold, but temperature will continue to drop. So those wind chills will be in the minus teens overnight tonight with those westerly or southwesterly winds somewhere between 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. As we head through the day tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud for most of us. Again, onshore flurries will linger for those of you on the west coast, southern areas of the island, Burin Peninsula, and even the Avalon. There's a chance we may see a few flurries in the mix there as well. I don't see anything in the way of accumulation. Not too much in the way of accumulation anyway for southern areas of the island and the Avalon, but the west coast, particularly in the higher elevations, you may see some accumulation tomorrow with some more persistent onshore flurries for you. Up across Labrador, beautiful. A few flurries may linger through the afternoon, but that is about it, and really set the stage for a quiet Wednesday, at least to start, because things will change as we head into Wednesday night. Now, as far as the snowfall goes through really Wednesday morning, really most of the action will be on the west coast. Some of the more persistent squalls, you could see somewhere between 5 to 10 centimeters. And again, in the higher elevations, particularly the long range mountains, you could see much more snow than that. Here's a look at your daytime highs for your Tuesday. You'll be sitting in the minus single digits. Southwesterly winds will be gusting somewhere between the 40 to 50 kilometer per hour mark. So as you're leaving tomorrow morning, you're certainly going to want to bundle up, because those wind chills will still very much be into the minus double digits. And then for Labrador, overall quiet day, a mix of sun and cloud through the afternoon. Temperatures will firmly be in the minus teens, and you're looking at southwesterly or westerly winds somewhere between 40 to as much as 50 kilometers per hour. So that's a look at your forecast, but Inspector Fitz is returning to France and to your screens. Season 2 of St. Pierre begins tonight, and here now's Maddie Ryan has more.
It's a new year, which brings a whole new bout of murder and mystery to St. Pierre. Well, the fictional version of the French island.
Season 2 of the police drama St. Pierre premieres on CBC television Monday night. Showrunner and star Alan Hocko is ready for viewers to dive back into the story he helped create.
It's been a lot of fun to sort of play with what kind of crazy things can happen in this imaginary real place, and like also building out the world of it. Like the concept of there being a horse track in St. Pierre, and the concept of all these other elements that aren't actually in the real place but are fun to sort of play with from a production perspective.
Everything leads back to Brian Montgomery. Maybe he found something that, he shouldn't have.
The first season of the show was CBC's most watched new series, and according to Hawko, the real community it's set in has embraced the cast and crew.
And that's such a huge part of its character for the show. So, in the same way that, like, back in the old days on Doyle, like representing how beautiful St. John's looks or Newfoundland looks, like that's a big part of what this show is. And I think there's a clear love from us to the place that I hope is being received. They're all very, very kind.
The film and TV industry back in Newfoundland and Labrador is feeling that love too. Picture NL CEO Laura Churchill says shows like this one are proof of a thriving sector, especially after the province hit $1 billion in production activity last year.
It tells me that our entire industry are doing things right, and all of our stakeholders, everybody that plays a part of this is working towards this goal of showing off this place, showing off our talent. And, it really does also open a door for many other shows, many other young creators, that there's a future here, right in this province, to be able to develop your own stories and show them off to everybody.
St. Pierre premieres Monday night at 9:30 Island Time, and new episodes will be streaming for free on CBC Gem on Tuesday mornings. Maddie Ryan, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, now to some breaking news on the political front. Liberal MP Chrystia Freeland has announced she will resign from Parliament sooner than expected. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has appointed Freeland as his special advisor on economic development. Zelensky announced Freeland's appointment this morning on social media, citing her experience. He also posted a photo of the two of them together in Kyiv earlier in the day. Freeland has Ukrainian ancestry and was also Canada's special representative for the reconstruction of Ukraine. Freeland has also resigned from that position. She plans to leave her seat in Parliament in the coming weeks. Conservatives say she should resign immediately. Freeland had previously announced plans to leave politics to start a new job in the UK in July. Back in this province, every year a theatre company in Trinity presents a blend of plays that reflect the history and culture of this province. Rising Tide Theatre has been a part of Newfoundland and Labrador's arts community since 1978. And now, founding artistic director Donna Butt and other members of the theatre community are reflecting on all the productions over the years.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was recession. There was nothing. All was darkness.
Turn on the friggin' lights. I can't see it, Jesus thing. Not unless you pay your light bill, buddy. What do you think? Light grows on trees?
If you did a family tree of that first year in Trinity and looked at where people went and how they grew as individuals and how their careers and lives changed, oh my gosh, there's nothing short of remarkable.
Rising Tide and Donna Butt, they're synonymous, right?
The thread of Donna is just knit so thoroughly through the fabric of what Rising Tide is.
She's very much larger than life, and she will embrace you.
Donna needs to be appointed as senator because she will be the best senator you've ever hoped for.
Take this bit of water. It's okay.
Right away, I moved the chair, right? I know. I'm a really bad interviewee and a terrible patient.
We were pioneers. People forget that now. People think that it always was there, but it wasn't. Listen, it was a hard sell. Believe me, it was a hard sell. It took a long time to convince people that this kind of concept could work, and it took a It took many years of getting used to each other in the community. And I guess I like to think we like each other now, but I definitely know we've gotten used to each other.
Good evening. The news was expected, but that didn't make it any less devastating.
I'm making a decision based on the desire to ensure that the northern cod survives as a species.
Nothing, no. Last 3 summers, no fish.
So how long can you hang on in a fishing boat if there's no fish?
So it was the year after the northern cod moratorium, which really had a major impact on not only this coast, but many areas of Newfoundland, as you know. Major. I mean, you know, there was a plant working almost year-round in Port Union, 20 minutes up the road, and one day it was opened and the next day it was closed. So there was also an interest at that time of finding ways to keep the economy moving or ways to respond to this shutdown. While it had been coming for a long time, it was instant and sudden when it finally was brought in because of the overfishing. So I was always really interested in all matters of rural and economic development and policy. I'd served on many policy, arts policy and other committees over the years. And it was something that really spoke to me. And I wondered whether we could have any kind of impact. And I wasn't sure, because I think you got to be really careful about those things. I mean, to suggest that, you know, theater in the summer and fall is going to replace a fishery is obviously not correct.
With some financial help from Ottawa and the province, it opened as a job and tourism project last summer. It's been a hit ever since.
Weekends we get like 450, 500.
Rising Tide Theatre director Donna Butt admits meeting some resistance at first. Tourism, many felt, would never replace the fishery.
I agree with them. This coast is absolutely devastated. It's an absolute outrage, and they should be terribly angry. But if we are going to do something that is related to tourism, at least let it be something of them, about them, and by them.
And that's what has made this work. The pageant has become something people all around Trinity are very proud of.
I couldn't really quite envision what a pageant was. I didn't know. I kept thinking it was like a beauty contest.
Their original play was always the Trinity pageant. They didn't have a theater constructed in town at that point. So I believe back then it was 3 days a week the pageant would happen.
And there are days when it's really difficult to be in the pageant. It's all outside. It's a show where you're costumed in wool and high neck cotton, and you know, you've got to do a lot of quick changes, and you're changing in weird places behind rocks, and then, like, you know, and foyers of churches and things like that. But it was always it was really fun. Like, once you actually got into it, it was a really fun thing to do.
That was the early days. Yeah, it's funny too, hey? Because when we first did the pageant, because it was such a new idea, we wondered if anyone would come.
I was going to be playing a child. My job was to run around Trinity and gather people up, saying, there's a show happening over here. Come on over. Come up on the hill. Come up here. We're going to do a show for you now. We're doing something. We're putting on a play. And the day of the show, we got there and 700 people were there. And I looked at Rick and Donna and went, I don't think I have anything to do. And they went, no, just, you know, circulate through the crowd. Help us do crowd control for the first scene. And that's what I did. I was like, from the very first day of the show, they did not need anyone to gather anyone.
Okay, folks, you can come on inside. Well, not inside. Inside, outside. Hey, Mike! Oh, my God almighty. How are you?
It was really important to Donna to connect with the audience before the show.
It's part of the show. I don't think I've ever gone to a show where I didn't get hugged. She's never lost her appreciation for someone being interested in what it is that she's tried to create. And you can see that in her dedication to being there.
You know, it is her flock. She shepherds them around and has done so now for 30 years.
Come on this way there, folks.
The Donalog. That's right, I forgot that. She does her famous speech that she's been doing pretty much
every single pageant. Every pageant. Yeah. Even the line about don't fall over, we don't have insurance, and if you break your leg, we're not insured. Every single monologue.
So, however, if there's no lawyers in the audience, or if there are, close your ears to this bit, will you? If you do fall down and hurt yourself, then we got 2 more shows today. So if you fall down and hurt yourself, I'll give you a count. To both! No. But I'll tell you what else I could do. This is the part where we don't need any lawyers. So what we'll do is we'll get a form out and we'll get you to sign the form, right? I'll sign it. And we'll say that you fell down inside the theater. Because I got insurance there.
What a bag of wind. As you can see, Whitburn had little effect. He liked it here and he wanted...
The theater was built around 2000. I think it actually opened in the year 2000. So a few years up to that, it was, in process being built. So up to that point, we'd been performing mostly outdoors, which was magical and amazing, and doing shows that were written for theaters in the wild, really. And that was absolutely stunning. Everyone that came to see it commented on it.
That was part of the thing, was the idea that coming here, you would be telling the stories in a place, in a landscape and a seascape where they really meant something, where they came from the very blood and bones of the place.
My actual best memories of Rising Tide would be like watching Midsummer Night's Dream happening out on the cliffs behind the theater. They did Macbeth out at the lighthouse.
That production of Midsummer's Night Dream was amazing. Just the people that surrounded it. It was directed by Ken Livingston. Todd was in it. Mark Critch was in that show. Ruth Lawrence was in that show. Michelle Rex was in that show. Peter Romke was in that show. It's just it was a really beautiful production that also had Rick Boland as Bottom. Just made some really good lifelong professional friendships and personal friendships that have come out of this company as well.
It was just like sticking a magnet, not in just the town, but on the Boniface Peninsula for the arts and attracting people who valued that.
Out of that came restaurants and bed and breakfasts and improvements to roads and strategic plans for towns and for economic development for tourism. I mean, a lot of that came out of this theater company. So it's a pretty incredible thing. I mean, not a lot of theater companies in this country can hang that as a badge of honor.
My colleague and I, Rick and I, came up with the idea of the pageant and came out to Trinity. And that was going to be for one summer. I don't know. They're still wondering when the hell I'm going to leave.
Let's see who celebrated birthdays and anniversaries over the holidays. Wishing Amy and Pat Farrell a very happy 58th wedding anniversary. Anniversary greetings going out to Cherry and Gerald Hicks from Millertown. Their 55th anniversary was December 28th. Happy 52nd anniversary to Sharon and Wilmore Rogers of Gander on the 29th. Malcolm and Sarah Rogers of Trinity Bonavista Bay are marking 59 years of marriage. Happy 56th anniversary to Clarence and Mona Decker on Boxing Day. They're in Pasadena. Congratulations to Ada and George Walters of Trinity, who celebrated 60 years of marriage on December 28th. Happy 59th anniversary to Roger and Joan Jenkins of Tizards Harbor. They also celebrated on the 28th. Wishing Leslie and Pearl Fifield of Cape Freels a happy 69th wedding anniversary on the 29th. Congratulations to Doug and Gertie Pike of St. John's, who celebrated 55 years together on the 30th. 50th anniversary greetings today going out to Roy and Loretta Jenkins of Twillingate. Happy 63rd anniversary on the 31st to Doris and Hiram Lemoyne of Port aux Basques. Wishing Boyd and Catherine Greenland a happy 52nd anniversary. Congratulations to Reverend Boyce and Olive Parsons of Lumsden. Their 61st anniversary was on the 30th. Happy 59th anniversary to Tom and Marjorie Thorne from Thornley, Trinity Bay, who celebrated on the 28th. Maxwell and Marina Warren of Dildos celebrated their 60th anniversary on New Year's Eve. Happy 59th anniversary to Rose and Stan McDonald of Ramia. They celebrated on December 29th. 60th anniversary greetings going out to Bill and Geraldine Carroll of Tilting, Fogo Island, now living in St. John's. Best wishes to Donald and Ann Tarrant of Glovertown, who are marking 52 years of marriage. Robert and Caroline Chalk from Charlottetown, Bonavista Bay are celebrating 72 years together. Their anniversary was on the 29th. Happy 58th anniversary to Ronald and Jane Sims of Galtus, who celebrated on the 28th. Happy 60th anniversary on the 30th to Stafford and Madeline Canning from your family and friends. Happy anniversary to Peter and Rose Collins from Collinette. Their 62nd anniversary was on the 28th. Anniversary greetings going out to Roy and Joyce Hart of Fogo, who marked 51 years of marriage on December 27th. Happy 57th anniversary to Sam and Sybil Rowe of Seldom, Fogo Island, on December 30th. Happy 53rd anniversary to Mike and Irene Miles of Terranceville. They celebrated on New Year's Eve. Now to some birthdays. Happy 92nd birthday to Honor Hounsel of Wareham. Charles Kendall of Stephenville celebrated his 90th birthday on New Year's Day. Wishing Dulcie Tucker a happy 90th birthday in paradise. Best wishes to Bernice Robbins. She turned 93 on January 3rd, and this is her first birthday as a great-grandmother. Happy 91st birthday yesterday to Bridget Lingard of Bishop's Falls, now in St. John's. And happy birthday to Cecilia Maloney in Gander. She turned 95 on New Year's Eve. Fine crowd. Congratulations once again. We usually do those on Fridays, of course, but we had a build-up of them over the holidays, so
right.
had to get some anniversaries out tonight. So, okay, so let's talk about the weather. I understand that all of this snow that we just got is going to be taking a bit of a hit later in the week.
Yeah, so enjoy the snow as it is because, yeah, we have some rain on the way as we head through the next couple of days. So that's going to make it a little icy. Let's take a look at what's going on. So first part of your day on Wednesday is going to be pretty lovely. There's not a whole lot going on. We'll actually be sitting under a ridge of high pressure. We should see some cloud cover increase, though, as the day goes on. And then our next weather maker moves in. So this one has much warmer air with it. So southern areas of the island, eastern areas of the island, we may see this briefly start as some snow overnight and then quickly change over to rain. In some areas like the southern portion of the island, as well as the Avalon, may see some heavy rain associated with this one as well. So you'll see, note the temperatures along south coast and eastern Newfoundland, somewhere between 2 and 4 degrees. Central, west coast, northern peninsula into the minus single digits, and then somewhere between minus 8 to minus 11 across Labrador. You'll see some snow move in later in the day on Wednesday. So that will move through fairly quickly. We'll see the northern peninsula mainly stay as snow through the day on Thursday as well once that low pressure system pulls away. Some cooler air on the west coast again, and you'll see that change back over to some snow in the afternoon and into the evening hours. So this one a little bit messy. There could be some freezing rain or some ice pellets associated with this one as well. But again, the northern peninsula, southeastern portions of Labrador, this will be a mainly snow event for you. And then into the evening, we'll see that change back over to snow for most areas. Daytime highs will sit somewhere between 2 and about 5 degrees. Now, west coast, depending on the track and the temperature, you may see a little bit of changeover into the afternoon, but that's about it. And then for Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures between minus 5 and about minus 10 as your daytime highs. And then again, other than southeastern portions of the Big Land, most of you will sit this one out, and you should actually see some sunshine through the day on Thursday. By the time we get into Friday, a drop in temperatures again, so back down below 0 and then back up above 0 again on Saturday. So a little bit of a roller coaster ride for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. For central and western Newfoundland, you're also looking at a bit of a roller coaster ride, although Saturday another system, so it is looking like either potential for some rain or snow and more flurry activity for those of you on the west coast. And then for Labrador, overall daytime highs will stay below zero, but varying degrees of that. By Friday and Saturday, you're looking at some sunshine, and for western Labrador, some light snow by the time we get into Friday, and then just a few flurries will continue on Saturday. Your daytime highs minus single digits as we get into the weekend. So there you go. Speaking of the Big Land, Happy Valley Goose Bay, beautiful morning yesterday morning. It's a great shot there.
Lots of snow there.
Lots of snow. Thanks, Paul, for that photo. And if you have any that you would like to share with us from the holidays or digging out or anything, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Beautiful, beautiful shot. And I guess you mentioned this, but if you want to enjoy the snow, get out maybe tomorrow. If you're like a cross-country skier or kids want to go, well, I guess they're going back to school.
They're going back to school tomorrow. Sorry. At least you got one more day off.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's going to be hard tomorrow.
All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.